Hey everyone, it's Naked at Sunrise. This edition is done on the go. So, welcome. As you come in and you join us, please, you know the drill. I need you to go tell us where you're joining us from. Say hello, identify yourself, and let us know where you're joining us from. And please remember to share and to like. I'll be monitoring from my phone to see who is online so that we can acknowledge you're joining us today. So, welcome, 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 welcome. It's Naked at Sunrise. And my name is Mark-Mordi. This will be episode number 19. And you know that Naked at Sunrise is a show that is built on authenticity, vulnerability, and victory. We're looking at what people of faith do and how they navigate um, difficult seasons of their lives. We're looking at how we attain and we come to victory in God. The anchor scripture of Naked at Sunrise is found in Genesis 32, where it says, and the son, and his hip. I've got to read it. Just give me a moment to go there so that I don't paraphrase. But just begin to make work on my coach. Coach Anna McCoy is in the house, and I'm really excited that she's here with me today. Hey, Coachy.
Hey, Benjamin, how are you? I'm happy to be here.
I'm excellent. Thank you, Coach. Thank you for coming and
Yes.
joining us and just for saying yes. And thank you for all time, for how you have stood by me, how you've helped me to mature, how you've helped me to find my voice, and just to keep me going. How all your contribution, for those of you who don't know, Coach was the first person. Coach was the one that bought me my first podcast camera. No, not camera, microphone. Um,
Yes.
um, and that um, that was in South Africa
Yes. 2012.
in 2012, in January of 2012. And
Yes.
Coach Anna was where I was in a jewelry shop trying to be the girl that I like to be. Coach wandered off. It was myself, Coach Audrey, and Mama Linda. And
Yes.
Coach went off. And the next thing we saw was he came back with a bag and he said to me, let me take this. And when you get home, start to podcast. Who would know that this is 14 years later and I'm still podcasting? And let me just say that I kept that microphone for very many months because I didn't like what my voice sounded like, on when it is recorded. But she kept prodding me and she kept prodding me, and the rest, as they say, is history. But yes, Naked at Sunrise is of the opinion or the philosophy behind Naked at Sunrise, or principle behind Naked at Sunrise, is that our lives don't have to be perfect to be those people that God loves, that we
Yes.
can have a limp and the sun of righteousness will rise on us as well. So
Mhm.
having a limp and having Jesus in our lives are not mutually exclusive. And between myself and Coach Anna, in the last 15 years thereabout, our lives have been many things. We've seen really great times. Coach has baptized thousands, hundreds of people in her pool at home. I've made Jesus outfits for her. And we've gone through many things. We've both lost our fathers in the course of this time. Life has come at us in ways that, we just get on the phone and we just talk to each other and we just cry. But the one thing that has been constant is that this relationship is grown and it's going somewhere. I want to kick off, Coach. Before I say anything else or let you speak, I want to kick off what you sent to me
Mhm.
a couple of weeks ago that made me ask you. This is something that Coach Anna wrote, and she forwarded it to me. And I know that I posted it on my Instagram, and some of you saw it. It says, 16 years ago, I met Bidemi at a moment when life felt wide and unfinished. She carried herself with this quiet steadiness, curious, observant, listening more than speaking. I was older then, further along the road, the one with answers people expected. I saw promise in her before she saw it in herself. And I did what mentors do. I encouraged, challenged, and made space for her to grow. Time did what time always does. It tested her, it refined her, it asked things of her that no advice can prepare you for. And she answered not loudly and not for applause, but faithfully. I watched her choose integrity when shortcuts were easier, tenderness when hardness would have been justified, and courage when retreat was tempting. She learned the long lessons. She kept going. Somewhere along the way, the current shifted. I began to notice that when we spoke, I was the one listening more closely. Her questions had depth, her perspective had weight, her compassion was practiced, not theoretical. She had become someone whose steadiness I could lean on. This is how the mentor becomes the mentee, not by titles changing, but by wisdom revealing itself, not by hierarchy, but by reciprocity. Bidemi did not replace what I once offered her, she completed it. She reminded me that great growth is secular and that leadership is shared and that sisterhood is strongest when it moves both ways. I'm inspired not just by who she's become, but by how she became patiently, honestly, with her whole heart. 16 years on, I am grateful for the privilege of walking beside her, learning from her, calling her sister, and knowing that she's my rocking chair body. This this message came at a night where I was feeling very, very vulnerable and exposed in my house because my security guard in that day, in that time, had sabotaged my electricity supply, and I was home alone in the dark, and I didn't even know what intentions he had. But
Mm.
just to let you know that there is life that can only be done with someone in your corner. And Coach Anna, I've said it many times, and I want to say it again today. Thank you for the privilege of holding my hand and just going with me in the direction that you saw that I could go. As I think and I look back, I remember the many things that I refused to say yes to at the beginning, but you kept coming back at me. And today I'm doing all of them and so and then some. Thank you for being my big sister. Thank you for not looking down on me. Thank you for investing in me at times when I had no strength to do the things that the dream of in my heart uh, dictated. Thank you for putting your money behind the love that you professed. I wanted to start out by saying thank you for seeing this Lankasa girl from Lagos, Nigeria, and for jumping on a plane to come,
Yeah.
and for how far this journey has come. I'm grateful. I know there are many years ahead of us. And like you know, I told you before, at the end of our lives, we'll be living in Lagos by a beach and
I
life will
hope
be
so.
good. Yes. I love you.
Rocket.
Yeah, rocking the chairs.
Yes,
I love you, Coach.
absolutely.
So tell
Thank you, love.
us, who's Coach Anna? Oh gosh,
Who's
I
who's
didn't plan
coach?
to cry.
Ah, well, I can tell you who is Coach Anna now. Coach Anna has been so many women, like the one thing I know for sure is that if you live long enough, as my mother would tell us, just keep living. Um, and I think who's Coach Anna today? I'm still becoming more of who I am supposed to be now. I try to live my life in the now, and as most people who see me often or may come into my sphere of influence, I'm not a person that really talks about my past. I'm always forward, as you see, even with my t-shirt, it's future.
Mm,
And so I would say I've come to this point of saying, I've been many Annas,
mm,
and as we mature in each of these decades, we're learning. And so now I feel like I'm at a place now where I'm preparing for Anna 30 years from now. I believe that I will live a healthy and wealthy life for the next 20 to 30 years. And so who I am now is a woman that's really focused on preparing for my future Anna, for my
Hmm.
90-year-old, to learn how to take her into consideration now so that when she arrives here on the scene, she could be a woman of peace, a woman of comfort, a woman that is cared for, a woman that is safe, a woman that is loved and cared for. And so I think when I think about who I am today, I am that woman. I'm thinking
Hmm.
about also the women that I love and care about, that are not only my sisters by birth, but my sisters by our joint fellowship with God.
Hmm.
How will we live when we're in our 70s, our 80s, our 90s? And so that's what's really important to me. And I have worked over the last 4.5 years to reposition myself in this era, this artificial intelligence era, to not only participate in the transfer of wealth, but also to solve problems, and also to incite and enlarge the hearts of people that this is not something that you can sit out.
You said something. You said a woman that is safe,
Yeah.
because that's all that I have experienced in my relationship with you in the last 16 years. You are safe for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's not because we get to speak every day, but
Yes.
simply because you follow through. If you said to me, and from the very get go, if you said yes to me, I know it's a yes. But I
Yeah.
especially like the fact that if it's a no, you don't think about it. You say
Mhm.
to me, no, Bidemi, I'm not doing that foolishness. Yeah.
I can
And
get I can get to that really, really quickly,
yes,
can I? Oh
and
my
that has,
God.
so with you, I know where I stand. I've never
Yes.
had to guess where am I, um where am with, where am I standing with Coach Anna. And for
Yeah.
me, when I think about a woman who is safe, that is what I see. But
Mhm.
explain to me, what does it mean to be safe, to
Well,
be a
that's a
woman who is
beautiful.
safe?
Yes, I can tell you, to be a woman that feels safe is to be, it really is to be able to be exactly who you are. Like,
Hmm.
I am very sensitive to the energy of other people. I am a very discerning person, right? And I'm sensitive and I'm compassionate. And all of those pieces kind of put this thing together that when I'm in space with people, I can sense the sincerity of the heart. I can sense the comfort of truth. And I believe because of my skill set also as a coach, I am mindful of what I see when I'm communicating with people too. And so I have come to know that to be safe, to feel safe, is not about sharing secrets, right? Like, I'm going to share something with you, and then I'm going to be afraid that you're going to share it
Mm-hmm.
with someone
Mm-hmm.
else in our
Mm-hmm.
circle of relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's more than that. And I am careful about the words. We've experienced some tough things along the way, and
Yes.
just by how we reacted in the most painful points. And certainly when I came to you, when I was going through an unwanted divorce, that like, you know, you just chose not to say anything about this experience. What you chose to do for me was to tell me a couple of things. One was, coach, I love you. Number two was, if you want to come to Nigeria, our family will take care of you. Our family will be here for you. You come and stay with us however long you need to heal, to whatever it's going to be. We got you. You can just come here. That was enough. We never got into this conversation about what happened, what did he do, what did I do, and all of this. Is it going to work? Let's pray, chom, chom, chom down, God, the Holy Spirit, to figure this out for us. You prayed for me in a space where you prayed in my sorrow. And I remember that night that I called you and I said, this is over. Now, but I'm talking about safety, right?
Mm.
Safety in relationship. And I started doing the night preachers. And I said, God, if I have to go through this, I can't do it alone. I need to do it in worship. And so I got on those night preachers. And for those that are listening, I was doing live live Facebook broadcast and just worshiping, reading the word of God, and just reading word upon word, precept on precept of John, of the book of
Yeah.
John. And I remember that first night I did it, when I realized I had a conversation with my ex, and the Spirit of the Lord said to me, this is over. And I walked into that room and I began to weep, just like this wailing woman. There's a difference between crying and wailing. When your soul literally comes from within you and spills itself all over, and it's coming through tears, it's coming through the pain of the unknown. And I remember the Spirit of the Lord said to me that night, he said, get up and don't let this mark your soul. Because I was on the floor and I was weeping, and he was standing there. And it was like, who is this person, right? And the Lord said to me, rise, Anna, get up, Anna, get up, Anna, and don't let this mark your soul. So I got up
Mm.
from that moment.
Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
go on. Maybe
Yeah,
you
but
should land that thought first.
yes, I got up from that moment because I'm getting to you. And I did that worship that night for about an hour and a half. I finished it. And as soon as I hit the end button on that record, that wailing and that came up, and I could feel it come, and I hit the phone and I said, I dialed Bidimi. And you answered the phone, and I told you, we had already talked a little bit, but I told you that this is over. And you could hear it, because now I'm crying. And you just said, coach, coach. And you said, let me pray with you. And you just started to pray for me. And you didn't pray about me, about God trying to keep us together. You didn't curse the devil and all of these things. You began to pray for me as it related to the soul that I am and the purpose that God has called me to. And you begin to pray into my future as it related to who I am, and that God would just support me in that way. And so when we talk about safety in our relationships, safety in our friendships, this is what safety is: to be able to hear the voice of another person that knows you well enough, that is entangled by the Spirit of God. And that word entanglement is that you and I were in two different places, but we were one because we were sisters in Christ. And when
Mm.
you began to pray for me, I didn't really stop crying. You prayed, and it wasn't long. And then it was so late. You were one of my only friends that was awake. She's the only friend I had awake. Linda was asleep. She was on a whole nother, wherever she was. And I was like, I gotta call Benny. Then she on the other side of the world. But you had the right prayer. You had the right words. And that still resonates today, because you could feel it even now as I'm telling this story. That connection, that hope, and that's what I remember most about the prayer, that
Mm.
it wasn't the fix it prayer. It was
Mm.
the soul, because the Bible says, who cares for your soul?
So,
And in that moment, I needed the safety of someone caring for my soul, not my situation, not my condition, not what had happened, but what was actually happening with me.
so what have I heard? I've heard you say that sometimes, when we go through things and we are in these relationships that we feel safe in, then it's okay for when someone doesn't have answers for what we face, rather than get into that whole um, charade of trying to fix what is
Mm-hmm.
not fixable.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to give people permission to call the time of death over the things
Yes.
that have died in their hands.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's a massive highlight that I want to point out to, especially the ladies, even the gentlemen that are with us today. That
Yeah.
you know that when someone, there are certain relationships that when they're in trouble and they come to you, they're not coming to you to fix what it is that has gone
No.
wrong with them. They're coming because they feel sick. Because I remember the next thing was you called me a few days later and you
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm at the airport and I'm coming.
Mm.
And,
Mm.
and it was on the
Yeah.
day of Roth. You were going to land on the day of Roth.
Mm.
And I said
Mm-hmm.
to Mark, Coach is coming, so
You're
you have to go
right.
to the airport to get her.
You're
And they
right.
came, they get you, and you
Yeah.
came, we brought you
I
in,
did. I
and then
totally forgot about it. And I just came
yes,
for the,
yes. And
yeah, I
then you
wasn't there
you
long.
came and then you said, I want to stay in a hotel first. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's fine. You want to stay in a
Yeah.
hotel with you.
Yeah.
So you went to the hotel for a few days.
Yeah.
Then when you felt like you could be around people,
Yes.
we came to get you
Yes.
and you came
Yeah.
home. And I remember we just ate ice cream. We'll go to
Yes. I
Cookstone
was
and get
sitting in the
ice cream.
door. Yes,
Yes. And just
absolutely.
drive around. And we never really talked about what happened. What did someone do? What did not someone
No,
not do?
no.
And I also remember that I was in your guest room when I
Mm-hmm.
received the message that my father had died. And it was about maybe like 5 a.m. in the time in Dallas that day. And I got up from the bed and I walked up to your room and I opened the door and I said, Coach, my father is dead.
I
And you
know.
got up and you just held me. And I cried and I cried and you helped me put my stuff together. And a couple of
Yeah.
days later, I was on the plane to Lagos. But something stood out
Mm.
because as I was leaving, you pressed an envelope in my hand because
Mm.
you knew that when I get home, I'd need to bury my father and
Mm.
whatever it is. And you said to me, if you need more, let me
Mm.
know. You know, we live in economies now where people don't put their resource behind relationships. We say we
Mhm.
love people, we say they
Mm.
mean much to us, but they do not put they would rather give whatever they have out to other people and then
Mhm.
claim that you are their best person and do nothing for you, not because any of us is needy, but I
Mhm.
would remember that the first time you came to Lagos to speak for me at Rod, you
Mhm.
came and I was so determined that I'll give you the best hospitality that we could afford. So we
Mhm.
paid for the best hotel that we could afford in that
Mhm.
time. We
Mhm.
made a car available that was the
Mhm.
best we had in the moment. We
Mhm.
got you a security detail for that time because it
Mhm.
was a bit dicey in Nigeria at that time. And you did all of that, stayed and ate what we offered, went to
Yes.
places that I said we had to go to. Was
Yes.
just a good spot through it. And I remember the day you were meant to leave, and you said, "Oh, let's drive to the ATM." And we went into the ATM, and you drew all the naira that they would let you draw, and it was a chunk of naira. And I
Oh,
was wondering why is she drawing so much naira? But I mean, it was my first time really meeting you, so I didn't get it. Today I would have asked you, what's all of that for?
yes.
Today I would have said to you, your money is not good here. But those days, your money was very good, yeah. But I remember that we got back to the hotel and I was checking you out, and um, I was trying to make the payment. And
Mhm.
there was a hitch with I think the first card that I had given them, not because it wasn't funded, but something was wrong. And then you said, oh, let me try my card. And we tried your card and it wouldn't work. And I said to them,
Mhm.
oh, don't worry. Then we figured it out and I paid. And then when we
Mhm.
put you in the car to go to the airport, you brought out this chunk of naira and you pressed it in my hand. And I would never forget that moment in the car with Shauna with us, and the driver taking you to the airport. And I said to myself, surely this is how we should live.
Mm.
And that moment I knew that no matter where life took me and no matter what happened, I'd always feel safe with this person. And
Yeah.
many things that happened, I've had to call you to say, you need to, trying to figure this out. Every pivot I've had to do in my business and ministry, you were one
Mhm.
of the first three people that I'll call. And
Mhm.
I'll say, Coach, I'm trying to resolve this. And sometimes you would have the answer immediately. Other
Mm.
times you say, let me think about it a bit more. That I'm
Mm.
streaming today on all the platforms I'm streaming on is because you said so. And the funny thing is that I don't know if I told you that YouTube pays me now, and
Uh,
you are the one that got me on YouTube. It's amazing the value that
yeah.
knowing you is. And just watching your life, because I remember when I read your book, I said, this woman is living my life 5 years ahead of me. And it turns out you were exactly 5 years older than me.
Yes.
And it's just been 16 years in which my family has become your family. You know, um,
Mhm.
every time I think about your mother, I think about buying a ticket.
Mm.
Yes, because I'm
Mhm.
saying to myself, it doesn't matter where I am, when Mama Mary is called home, I am on the next plane and I'm on my way to wherever coach is.
Oh,
And that's because we got to the place where
yeah.
I remember the last afternoon I spent with your mom, and she told me many things. And one of the things she told me, and I'll never forget, was she was talking about her grandbabies. And then she
Mhm.
said, well, I've told them you have a right to be stupid, but you don't have to take it. And I was like, my God, did we never take the right to be stupid? But that's
Yeah.
how far we've come on this
Yeah.
journey. I've
Yeah.
seen you through really good days,
Yeah.
um, extreme days that were filled with tons of abundance. And
Mhm.
I and my entire household have been beneficiaries of that
Mhm.
abundance. And I've seen you in your lean years.
Yes.
And what I learned from you is
Mhm.
the capacity to adapt.
Oh, yes.
I've seen you live in a mansion, and I've
Yeah.
seen you downsize because you needed to, just because you were
Yes.
on a healing journey.
Yes.
And it doesn't get better than that. There's been no need for us to pretend. There's
No.
been no need for us to feel like we had to put on a show with each other. So tell me, when you sent that message to me, I still wonder from time to time, what prompted you to write that message you forwarded to me ultimately? Because you had to have been thinking about something.
Yeah, I think I was inspired in the moment and not by any particular thing. I might have been praying or something. Oh, I remember now. You put a picture of yourself on of the many, many images of you, but this particular one was a recent one where you were sitting on the couch with
Hmm.
the maybe the orange
Yes, yes,
couch
yes,
or green couch or
yes,
something like
yes.
that.
Orange
It
couch,
was
yes.
the orange couch, and it was something about the image there that spoke to me and just kinda touched my heart, right, of how much I appreciated you. Like, I was sitting there, and then I created that song about commanding your
Yes,
morning, and
that
I created the
I've not been
song.
able to post anyway, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
But my producer for Naked at Sunrise was meant to help me do it so that it becomes the intro to the
yeah,
prayer calls. But she
yeah,
hasn't. She's on grandma duty, and so
okay.
she hasn't finished putting it together. Thank you.
Well
And that's
well
another thing that you have done
mhm,
that I know that I want to highlight: the
mhm,
tendency to be so far away in the United States and think about me. I know you've been to India. I don't travel. I don't remember to travel and take my books with me. The coach is traveling and she'll put my books in her bag. And
yeah,
when she gets to places and they're talking about women, and she'll
mhm,
say, I know this one woman in Nigeria. And then she
mm,
will whip out my book and put my
mhm,
book in someone's
mhm,
hands, in
mhm,
government houses, in India, across the nations. I remember it was because of you I came to the UN, and
Oh, yeah.
just to get
Yeah.
through a door, and the first thing you think is, I need to bring Bidemi here. I,
Yes.
I I can never get over that. And sometimes I wonder if, as friends and sisters, if we all thought about ourselves like that, and we
Mhm.
walked into rooms intentional enough to see where opportunities might accrue to the other person who is not even anywhere near the room, would you give it? My
Mm.
books are on Amazon today because of you. I've done 25 books because of you. Just because you tell me, oh, yeah, you can do it, and if you find a tool, I'm the first person to know. And
Yeah.
so everybody thinks I'm this techie buff, not knowing that I wait for you to learn. You go around the curve on my behalf, and then you simplify it in 4 simple steps. And I download. You say, download, plug it here. I do plug and play because Coach Anna does the hard work of
Yeah.
learning it. And I'm
Yes.
so grateful for all of that. But I
Yeah.
said I was going to ask you. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
Mhm.
I know it's okay. We would figure it out. But
Yeah.
you are not a biological mother. How has
Yeah.
that affected or impacted upon how you've seen people? Because you truly see people and you truly just love them. How did that impact on the decision to love people the way you've
Mhm.
loved them?
Well, let me just say this, not being a biological mother, at this age, I've looked back and I think how blessed, let me tell you, blessed I am from the suffering. I
Mm,
don't know if other people have looked at it this way. And the reason why I say that is that God must have known something about me, known how deeply I love, because I loved my sister's children like they were my own. But I also realized with the journey in their lives that to be spared the
mm,
pain and the
mm,
suffering that I've seen with mothers whose children are doing other things, I've been able to express the love to everyone that I meet, right?
mm.
To and I can tell you, I had those two little dogs, Tommy
Mhm.
and Ricky, who
Yes.
were a gift to me and let me express the mother nature just to care, just to nurture them, to always. And that was something that they never grew up to take care of themselves. And that's the thing about animals. They don't grow up to take care of themselves. Babies do, children, then they become teenagers and adults. And so I think that was my personal gift for that longing and that desire. But when it comes to I've come to also understand that we're all mothers,
Mm,
right? And when a woman recognizes, even if she doesn't have children, she is still a mother. The
mm.
Bible talks about the barren woman
Yeah.
having many children,
Mm,
and you have to ask yourself, well, what do you mean many children? Because
mm.
a mother is not
It's
necessarily
not
only birth.
biology. Yes.
It is knowing that there is a responsibility inside of you that responds. It's just like you respond to your children, you respond to the need, or you respond to the weaker one in this space, the one that needs care, the one that needs uh, guidance, that needs something. And when you allow that part of yourself as a woman to allow it to go wherever it goes, that's how I can be fulfilled. That's how I've never known a day of suffering as it relates to not having children,
Thank you,
right?
Coach.
I have not missed a second of my
Of
life
it. Hmm.
wondering that,
Yeah,
oh man,
because
I wish I'd
I
had
think
the
that
baby.
you've not let yourself wallow. That's something else.
Absolutely
I've
not.
seen Coach in
Mhm.
intense suffering. And
Mhm.
the one thing I've never seen is wallow. Well,
Yeah.
I saw you once in
What was I doing,
Austin.
girl?
Remember in
What was I
Austin
doing,
when
girl?
I was trying to have some conversation and you put the duvet over your head and I came and I said, "No, coach, we're having this conversation." And I
I
sat
remember.
there and then You started to weep. And I was like, yeah,
Oh, honey,
finally I got her. Remember, it was in Austin.
I
Do
don't
you
even know what
remember?
it was, what I was weeping, what I was crying about, but thank God it came out. You know what I'm saying? Because grief and pain and suffering, I've come to know
Yes.
also is that we don't know everything. You don't know what you
Mhm.
don't know until you have
Mm.
these experiences. And grief is love having nowhere to go.
Oh
It's
my
like
God.
that grief that you feel, the loss that you feel is because the love you have for someone, you don't know what to do with it anymore. All the
Mm.
cells in your body are responding, and even when the tears come, let them come. Let them
Mm.
come because God gave you the tears. It looks like it's small things, but your body is made up of trillions of cells that need a place to go. When the energy, that love that you have, and it just, you don't know what to do with it. But when you drop a tear, it seems like it's small, but it's
Mm.
filled with millions of cells that are expressing themselves, that it's coming out because it's just nowhere to go. And so I thought to myself, I've changed. I definitely have changed when it comes to crying. You know what I'm saying? Because now I understand that my tears and not letting that like stop here. God's got a place for it to express
Mhm.
itself. And it's
Mhm.
to come out of your eyes, out of your nose, out of your mouth,
Ah,
because the cells
ugly cry.
no, it can't contain itself. You know, the body has to release it. And so I'm good with it now. I used to be like, "Ah, I don't take all that," but I'm
Yeah.
good with it now.
Yes. I also know that you're still in business with your ex. How
Yes,
did
yeah.
bitterness not come in that equation?
How does what?
How bitterness didn't come into that
Oh,
equation? How were you able to navigate? Because I know that
yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
have probably just anyway. But how
I'm
did you?
for the folks who listening right now, y'all come on in. Come in, come in. I'm getting ready to deliver you right now. Let me tell you something. When you're never prepared, let's just talk about the marriage. You're never
Hmm,
prepared for a marriage to end, even when you want it.
hmm,
No matter what you're going through, you have, and if you've spent any time with that individual, you have every part of you is a part of that experience, you know? And so, what I recognized, I went through multiple, I would say, multiple phases of grief.
hmm,
Because first of all, you're in shock, right? And you trying to figure it all out. You're in fear also because you don't know what's going to happen. This is 18 years, and now what? What? What?
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to figure all this out. But the one thing I know for sure, and many people tell me this, is that I must have the supernatural gift of forgiveness, right? And I think we
hmm,
all have it as those who walk with the Holy Spirit. It's just if you will surrender to the gift. And as soon as I surrendered to this gift of the power of forgiveness, immediately, and here's the other thing, going back to what? Future. I
hmm,
knew exactly the kind of woman I wanted to be when I knew in my soul that I wasn't going to always feel this way. That if time would pass, I was
hmm,
going to get through this, that this too shall pass. But in my logical mind, I made a decision about the woman I wanted to be. And I wanted to be a woman of love, a woman of care, a woman who was pleased with herself and who was delighting the Father. And by doing so, it didn't mean I didn't get angry at certain things. It didn't mean that I didn't want to fight. I just didn't fight. You know what I'm saying? And the one thing I recognized by not going in that direction, because I was led by love. When I said to you all to be in an unwanted divorce, I knew what it was like, or at least I was experiencing what it was like to leave love. I was the
hmm,
love,
hmm,
right? And I knew it was in me and I knew it was still in me. I just didn't know how I would navigate my future in moment by moment. And over time, I knew I just had to give the brother a break, like let the brother live kind of thing. And the other part of this is that I was in what I believe was a prophetic marriage, that God
Mm,
put me together with him, that God
mm,
told me this is the man that you're going to marry, that he put something in my heart for him. I don't know what he did for him when we started and what he was doing for him while we were together and what he did for him at the end. But I do know this is we're friends today. We're
mm,
not married, but we're still friends because I knew that that too shall pass, that this person, yes, he's made some mistakes. We both made mistakes, and that we weren't always going to be in this hostile, maybe hurting space because we had done too much together. We had
mm,
loved too deeply. We had cared for each other too much. And this wasn't just going to be the end of the moment, that God had more for us to do. And even through that process, we never stopped working for each other, although I created my boundaries, and so did he. Then we've moved back now. He's back in the family. He's a friend of the family. He's still the uncle of the family, and we love him. We love him. He's a friend.
talk
But
to
that's
me,
that's where he's gonna stay over there in the friend zone.
friend zone. Talk to me about creating order at the end of something as pivotal as a marriage. Because I know you went through that order. You were like, I'm not doing this foolishness. Where's the money out? Bring out the books. Let's check them out. Why do believing wives or Christian women, why do we disintegrate rather than quickly establish order in their affairs just because a marriage is ending? And
Yes, so
how were you able to navigate it the way you did? Because I'm really proud of how you did it.
yes. Well, thank you. I can tell you through much prayer, through
Mm-hmm.
much through seeking, and also trusting myself and my own tuition and my own like brilliance and intelligence and moving. Like the one thing that I mean, God did several things for me to kind of lead and to guide me, like just miraculous. I'm driving down the highway, tells me to stop at this Goodwill. I said, I don't need anything from Goodwill. He says, stop at Goodwill. So I stopped. I walked in there and I'm just walking like I felt aimlessly around. And there is a tub of books that had not been put on the shelf. On the very top of that stack of book was a book that was called something to the fact, The Smart Woman Divorce. I picked up the book and I knew right away it was for me because I was having some questions. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, like I need a book or something. I can, I was thinking about it, I was Googling stuff and all of this stuff. But I picked up that book, and that author in that book, I don't even know, I can't remember it. It was something like The Smart Woman Divorce or something like that. Opened it up, and she sounded like me coaching somebody else. She said, and she was real straight. Look, I know you think that you're going to do this, and this, and I know you think he's going to do this and this and this, but let me tell you what you should do and follow my advice. You will thank me later. So I
Mm,
read the book and I wrote my notes and everything. And so now I have some knowledge. And then the next level of that was to suck it in, like dry your tears. You got time to cry, but you need to dry
mm,
them tears, okay?
mm,
And really think about your agency. Your agency, like what's going to happen to you? Who's controlling this money? Based on whatever actions are happening, you need to make some real decisions. And the first decision I made was the money decision. I said, wait a minute, I will
Where,
not be boo boo the
where
food.
is the
Okay. I
money?
said, where's the money? Because I took care of our finances, knew what all the structures. So I split everything in half. I was not going to have the benefit of the doubt that he was going to take care of me. That was over. Once we got to this place, this is over. You don't have the capacity to take care of me because you want a divorce. So let
Mm,
me take care of me because I'm not even thinking in that way. I'm emotional because I'm reacting, but that's not my intention. You understand? So there's a difference. So I took care of that. And then from there, I got a little confidence. I knew what I had. Then I went into our company and I stopped a whole lot of things. Everything we're doing, not a check is to be written here until two checks are written.
Wow.
Are you
So,
following?
yeah, here's something I tell women when they come to me and they find themselves in that transition phase, and
Mhm.
their first response usually is, I don't know what to do. And I had learned from you 16 years ago that I don't know what to do simply means I don't want to do what I need to do.
Mhm.
And so when they come to me these days, I usually will say to them, not doing anything is a decision, but
Yes.
can you own it?
Mhm.
So if you must make a decision because you can die by indecision.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you choose not to do anything, make sure you intentionally made up your mind not to do anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
Whether that's the merits of choosing not to do anything or doing something is not the debate that we're having. But
Mhm.
the debate or the conversation we're having is that you must determine that not doing something is something you consciously arrived at not doing,
Mhm.
or doing something about what you've had to go through is
Mhm.
something that you consciously arrived at. I
Mhm.
see too many of, and this is not just in the case of divorce, in the
Yeah.
case of a child who's spiraling out of control, in the
Mhm.
case of a health challenge, and we
Mhm.
stand there and we make no decisions.
Yeah.
I have learned that you must make a decision. It
Yes.
doesn't matter whether it's not the best decision in the moment. But if
Mhm.
you lean on God, He would even help you make the best decisions. I
Yes.
hate that things happen to us. And at the end of the day, we lose control because someone made a bad decision on our behalf. So decisions are important. And you said the first decision you made was a money decision. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I mean, think about it. Yes, I think I would make a money decision first too. But that was a decision that was worth making. And
Mhm.
I think what I'm trying to highlight, and this again is not just for the women, even for the men, make
Yes.
sure that you have a decision.
Mhm.
Articulate your decision so that when you make it in the push and the shove, you at
Mhm.
least can stand and say, at least I made this one. Because in that moment of that pressure, many other decisions have been made for you that you did not choose. Be
Yeah,
sure
you
that
have
you
no idea.
choose one that is
Yeah.
important and start from there. And like Coach said, it brought her to the place of confidence because
Mhm.
finally, I actually think that it just feels like you got a piece of your life back.
Mhm.
And even if your decision is to throw out a couch, please go do
Mhm.
it. Let it
Mhm.
be that you make one decision that announces to you and to the world that you still have a bit of control. You are
Yeah.
not without any power.
Yeah.
Because these experiences make us feel like we've lost every power that there is.
Mhm.
And no, I'm not talking to unbelieving women, I'm talking to believers.
Yeah.
God is not going to make a decision for you.
No, not well, what happens in situations like that, whether it is a job, whether it's a loss of a spouse, a physical loss of a spouse, um, our greatest fear, is our safety, our, what happens now? Do I stay here? Do I go? Do I have to go back to do I have to go back to my mother? Do I have to go back to my father's house? What do I have to do? How am I going to take care of myself, especially if you're a person that is not working, right?
Mm,
Maybe you're caring for the home or different things like this. And it's just hard to do. And it's hard to do when you're at a disadvantage. If you are the one doing it, if you're leaving a relationship or you have been, many of us, we resolve these relationships long before we ever leave them. We just hanging out with each other. We just don't have the courage to leave. And sometimes one of us may be a little more loyal than the other,
mm-hmm.
right? But the one that isn't as loyal and makes the decision to leave has got a head start on you.
Yeah.
Trust me,
True.
they've already been thinking about what they were gonna do, where they're gonna live,
Yes.
how they're gonna do it, what money they're gonna get, all of this stuff, and you're sitting up there bamboozled like a deer in headlights. Listen carefully, male or female, doesn't matter, because what you're after when those moments of disruption come, you're trying to protect yourself in a flight situation. You didn't think about this, you hadn't had any time. Your emotions are going to take control. All of that. You need to write down the things that you think you're going to do if you find yourself in whatever emergency situation,
Mm.
whatever situation. It's okay to think about these things. You thought about getting married, didn't you? You thought about the people you know, and this is one thing that I tell people, and I've had the opportunity to coach people in relationships, is that you know when this marriage is dishonorable, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the dishonor that causes you to change towards your spouse,
Mm.
towards the people you love. It's not always just the spouse. We are having disruptive relationships all over our lives, our children, our friends, our sister friends, your siblings. You know, this isn't reserved for marriage. This is how you get along with people. And some of those relationships come to a disruptive end. And I'm
Mm.
just saying, whether you're the one or the other one is the one, you're going to cry just like I did. You're going to try to figure it out. You're going to be scared just like I was. And then you're going to wake up and say, wait a minute, I'm not helpless. I'm scared, but I'm not helpless. Then at
It's
that
so
point, you start
powerful.
to make some decisions. And the
Mm.
first one, I tell all women who are in this situation with men that make more money than you do. That's your first step. I don't care about I don't and because here's the thing that I came to this conclusion. Even if I split this money and we stay together, even if I take this action, I'm just protecting myself in the moment. And if we stay together, it's still ours. But some people just won't make that action. They won't
Decision.
talk about
Yes.
it. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that's where you have to talk about it and don't give up your agency. And
And
that is
it's not
for your own.
morbid thinking.
No, it
It's not
isn't.
morbid thinking. It's
No,
not negative thinking.
no.
It is called being sensible.
Yeah.
And women in church, men in church,
Yeah.
we need to have sensible conversations.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't rise and fall on hallelujah.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, in those moments, hallelujah has become difficult to say. And
Mhm.
it is life. It can happen to anybody. But
Exactly.
tell me three things you learned on your healing journey. How long did it take, or how long has it taken? And what three
Thank you.
things have
That's
you
a better
learned?
question. That's a better question. Um, what I learned on my healing journey, the first thing was to create your space of peace. Like you have to literally create the space of peace. You've got to move some things, you got to create new boundaries, not only with your the person that you're separating or divorcing from, with family, with friends, because you got to have a space to breathe, to heal. I don't know how people go through this every day. They literally go through this every day, break up in relationships, they lose spouses, they lose children. And you know what? After 3 or 4 days, what we call bereavement, you're back into the world participating
Mm-hmm.
and trying to do all this, not because you want to, because the
But you
world
have
has said
to.
this is what
Yes.
you have to do. And so I would say that first thing is I had to learn how to breathe, like to
Mm.
make the space and not throw myself and allow myself to continue to do all the things I was doing for other people, even
Yes.
people who really needed it. I had
Mm-hmm.
to say, "Nope, I can't do that. No, I can't do that." I had to make some hard decisions. Lost family members. No, I can't go to that funeral. Why? Because my own soul is having its own journey right now, and I can't be the support in the room. I can't plan it. I can't do it. The next thing that I learned is after, I would say, after 18 years of being in a relationship, you have to unbecome.
Unbecome. Ooh, the
Unbecome.
process of
Who
unbecoming. Mm,
that unbecoming Mrs. McCoy, the unbecoming of whatever was attached to it, the unbecoming of the attachment of physical things, the
mm,
unbecoming of not hearing the voice, not having the presence of a person that you loved and cared about, that when you move, the person moves with you, thinks with you, laughs with you, and unbecome. In the unbecoming, you have to figure out what to do with your mind, what to do
mm,
with your memories, what to
mm,
do with your passions and the love that you want to go the other way. But that love is the
mm,
thing that saves you, not hate, not
mm,
anger. That doesn't
mm,
save you. That just takes you deeper because now you don't know what to do with that either. And so I would say that for me, it's that part was unbecoming, took a long time to unbecome. There are probably people today don't even know that we're divorced.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? But
mm,
I created the boundaries that didn't put
mm,
me in the same circles. So I'm not, what do you call it? I'm not addressed that way, but I can guarantee you if I walked into circles that I once was in, they would be,
mm.
hey, how's Mr. McCoy? How's her? And I'd be like, yeah, all right, and keep going. Never even tell them. It's not important
Because
anymore.
you don't need to explain to
No,
everybody
no,
either.
it's not
Um,
important.
I remember that in the course of this time of having to say, no, I can't do that. No, I'm not going to do that anymore. We had a conversation around playing God. Do you remember that
Mm-mm.
Earl Jabay book? We had that conversation, and you
Mhm.
sent me to go look for the book, The God Players. And I did buy
God
a
bless.
copy. Yes,
Mm,
and I think it was around when you were trying to put your boundaries in place to say,
mhm,
I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to think about me now.
mhm,
And you had your nieces, and you were so torn with having to make tough decisions
mhm,
concerning them. And
mhm.
finally, you said, oh, then I think in the course of praying, the Lord said to you, if someone doesn't want to be saved,
Yeah.
and you're doing all that you can to save them. You're trying to play God, and
Oh,
it's
yes.
above your pay grade. And
Yeah.
I learned a profound lesson in that time because we're talking of unbecoming. And I
Yeah.
saw how you started to uncouple yourself from the
Yeah.
responsibilities that you had taken on that have brought you to the place where you have practically, in loving others, eroded your own self as a priority and
Yes.
get into the place of choosing yourself. And that's God players had become a pillar course in my platinum mentoring because I
Mhm.
see it every day. Strong women who know where they're going, who know what they need to do, but become this how we all have this messianic syndrome where we're
Yeah.
trying to save everybody.
Oh,
And
yeah.
even when we're drowning, we still want to save people who actually, by the way, do not want to be saved. So
Mhm.
I would like for you to speak. I know our time is almost up, but I want you to speak into the idea of when you are navigating your own healing and this uncoupling and unbecoming, you must understand the difference between being there for people and playing
Mhm.
God over their destinies.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of us are playing, we don't call it that because we have learned the habit of rescuing people, of solving other people's problems, of allowing other people's emergencies to become our own.
Mhm,
And so I learned through this process is that I was that person. I was the person that I even, I'm a solutionist. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no solution. Don't come ask me nothing. Don't ask me anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to solve your problems, all your problems. And so the thing that really crossed two things actually that caused me to rise above that solutionist mindset for the emotional comfort of other people. Number one was my one of my nieces. I had a really tough time. That was a very hurtful time for me when I shared at the earlier part of this is the suffering that a mother would actually go through with her children. Um, I felt the pain with my nieces because I was like a second mother. I didn't birth them, but I loved them so deeply, and I just never imagined the investment that we put into their lives, the love, the access, all of these things that I would ever be in a situation that I was in with them. And so I heard, well, you want more for them than they want for themselves. So why are you continuing to do this?
Mm,
And what I understood about myself is that I did not have a self first mentality.
mm.
I was just here to serve everybody because we've been taught, if you think remotely about yourself, it is selfishness. And so I began to retrain myself to have a self first mentality, not a selfish mentality. Because if you love yourself,
Then
if
you
you
can
love
love others,
yourself,
because that's even the
you got to
in the Shema,
overflow.
that's the procedure. You should love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all
Yes,
your soul, with all your mind, and with all
yes,
your heart. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. As yourself
yes,
means that you come first before your neighbor comes
yes,
after. But
yes,
when they interpret it, they say love everybody and then
yeah,
just do what you want with yourself, or
yeah.
perhaps don't do anything with yourself.
Well, I
But
used
of
to,
course, that means that you are not alive to love the next batch.
oh,
And so there is
absolutely.
a need for us to always remember that going around this curve, there are
Mm,
people you want so much for, and they
mm,
don't want as much for themselves as you
yeah.
want for them.
You want
So
more for
tell,
them than they want for themselves. Let me just share this thing about joy. I was a young girl and I only listened to Christian music, and I would hear this woman on the radio says, she would get up, the announcer, and Jesus first, others second, and yourself last. Hallelujah. And then I overcame that kind of joy with
mm,
this self first mentality. If I love myself enough, then I won't succumb to this victim mentality of always
yeah,
having to rescue other people and be caught in that
mm,
drama situation. One of my dear friends, Pat Pearson, who's coming out with a book, Stop Self Sabotage, her second revision in that is absolutely exceptional. And she really was a person that enlightened, really, like, I was watching her at a conference speaking about stop self sabotage, and she started talking about the drama triangle, and it was like I was hit by the thunder of the Holy Ghost and saying, "Wait a
mm,
minute, there is actually something about this that wait a minute, I think you're talking to me. I'm in the
mm,
back of the room, but I think you're talking to me because I've been trying to rescue people and I've been trying to, do all this all my life, and I don't want to do it anymore." And in that instance, literally, I was freed just hearing this and saying, I'm not going to be this rescuer anymore. That's when you started to see those boundaries start to
mm.
expand. And we didn't see each other for a couple of years. We talked to each
Yes,
other.
yes.
Linda, who I traveled with all the time, those
Mm-hmm,
boundaries, I began to widen the boundaries because I knew that I couldn't do this anymore. And I had
mm.
to give myself space to transform.
And in that time, we just loved you through your
Yeah.
decisions, which
Yes.
again is what we should do, because
Yeah.
when the seasons change for us, it's not
Mhm,
in every situation that we're able to articulate what has changed and why we're making the decisions that we make. But
mhm,
true, safe, and loving women, we
mhm.
just love you through it. I know that
Exactly.
Mama Linda and myself got on the phone many times just to pray
Mhm.
for you. Just because we knew that at that point, what we could do was love you deeply enough
Mhm.
to intercede, even though we couldn't see you and you were
Mhm.
making your way in that moment. We've
Mhm.
come to the end of this, but this conversation will not become complete if you don't tell us how to get on the cutting edge of whatever God is doing. And in this season,
Yeah,
technology for you.
that's
Why
right.
is it important that we don't we don't catch up with
Mhm.
these things, but we get in the water as the water is being
Mhm.
stirred? Talk to us about that for
Oh,
just a few minutes.
this is such a great, great question because this past week there was an article written by a gentleman by the name of Matt Schumer, and he placed that article on Twitter. 60 million people saw it. 60 million. And what it said is something big is happening. And I'm going to take just, I love some of the things that he talked about, but he talked about three major things. The first one, this is bigger than COVID.
Mm.
It's show stopping. It's stopping the world in many ways. I mean, it's changing things right before our eyes. And the second thing is happening with a very small group of people who
Mm.
have control of this space. And
Mm.
so, as a citizen, you should be really interested and curious about what the future is going to be and who's going to control that future.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bit like a dozen, probably men, a dozen men, and I'm talking globally, that
Mm-hmm.
is controlling this artificial intelligence and what is being released around it. And they're gaining all the wealth, and the gap is growing even larger. Then the third thing is you cannot sit this out.
Mm.
This isn't future talk anymore. This is present
Let's
talk.
in talk. Yes.
Okay? So this is a very present thing that is happening every single moment. Over 2.5 billion instances are happening per second of people on artificial intelligence. And what we're talking about is just the front end of artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
not the deeper things, not the neural networks, not the machine learning. We're talking generative AI and what that means for the commoner, for us, just us common people. It simply means we can talk to chat GPT, we can type and it generates something, it generates text, it generates video, it generates audio, it generates code, it generates what do you call it, documents, whole presentations now. So it produces all of this stuff that we need to operate and do business. And here's at
Mm.
the end of the day, it produces all these words, because the one thing that isn't going to go away is the word, because the word is contract. And that's what these countries, these policies, these laws continue to operate on. And so if you've just been remotely thinking about, oh, it's evil, some people will use it. We have evildoers. But
Mm-hmm.
the word also says that knowledge is going to, it's just gonna, it's
Increase.
exponential, and it's
Increase.
gonna
Mm.
increase in these last days. And now there is no reason for you not to know information, because you've been Googling for years. Now you're just Googling, and the first thing that comes up is an artificial intelligence box. Then
Mm.
all those little links and ads start to fall down. Is because it's everywhere and you cannot afford to sit out. Now, let me flip the script for you. This is the best part. There has never been a time, this is the absolute best time for you to be alive, for you to
True.
be a person with just a little dream, just a little idea, just a fleeting thought that God said something to you. This is what I'm excited about. For the very first time in all of history and humankind, literally, can we take a small thought and capture that thought and make it into something that God had given you? When I think about, I think it's Second Corinthians 10:4 or 10:14 or something, that talks about pulling down every imagination.
Imagination and
Yes, he's
strongholds that
capturing
exalts
that thought,
itself.
right?
Yes.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you something. This is the absolute best time. You are not too old. You are not too young. And let me tell you, women, if you are 50 years and older, oh, you just ought to go and get yourself ready, because God's got some dreams and visions and ideas, some experiences, some lived experiences that you've had, that it is time for you to give birth to these ideas, to do something amazing, to pass this on to the next generation. And what is going to be the most powerful thing for you is if you do embrace artificial intelligence, you actually take a course so that you really understand it, not just because you've been sitting sitting there typing on Chat GPT, but that the Lord can enlarge your understanding about this. And I'm not saying you have to go and get a degree. I'm
Hmm.
saying just take a AI for everyone course so you understand the various different parts that are moving. Because here's what's coming, and it's already here now. You don't have to worry about all the technical stuff. You don't have to worry about trying to code and figure it out. You wanted to do something, you want to figure out something. There would be no reason for you not to be a healthy person because you got this
Yes.
information. And so, what I'm saying to you is that I'm going to need you to carve a little piece of your life, just a tiny piece of your life, and give some of this brilliance you have to understanding how intelligence can help you close the gap between your expectation and
And your
your reality
experiences. Yes.
so that you can do what God is calling you to do in the world, so that you can find this awareness and this fulfillment in doing what you hear the Father saying. I mean, I've seen it. It's absolutely incredible. One little idea, and you bring that thing to pass, and it's solving problems for millions of people. So that's where I think we are in this season, or this transfer of wealth that is actually happening right as we're speaking. See, you're getting confused. Let me just say this right now, because right before this, earlier today, I saw that 2020 prophetic word that I gave. It was to the decade about artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
I was
future
sitting
ready.
there
Yes.
and I was watching myself, and I was like, I could feel all of the energy that God was speaking to me and through me about what was going to happen with the Internet of Things, with 5G, with robots, with all of these things in this next decade. We're 6 years in, 6 years. I can only imagine what's going to happen in the next 4 years, and it's happening quickly, and it's happening now. And you cannot afford to pay attention to this. All that other stuff is just noise, people. It's just a bunch of stuff out there. And the real deal for Africa, my God, because I know you're my African family listening to this. And remember, I wrote that article in 2012. I prophesied to the nation about the human capital of Nigeria, of the young people. And your young people are under the age of what, 15 or 20, almost half of your population, and they are still coming for them. They're going to come for them. They're not going to pay them what they are due because of the structure of your existing system, but they're going to deserve so much more. And as your young people began to educate themselves, and they don't have to go to colleges, they just go to YouTube universities. They just need to look at a YouTube video to understand the technology, to participate not tomorrow but today. And I'm just saying to you that this is already here. It's not in the future. If you have children, you're trying to send them to school to be this, to be that. Yes, to be a lawyer is great, but guess what's going to happen? They're going to have to figure out a real niche. They're going to have to figure out a niche. Their knowledge will be greater than their degree in the sense of its value because of artificial intelligence. And if they
Thank
learn
you so much,
a
Coach.
little bit about it, it's going to be
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. We've come to the
you're
end
welcome.
of this show. Thank you, Coach. And thank you for loving so deeply and just being in my corner. And I'm looking forward to till we're old and gray, and hopefully our teeth
I'm
don't fall
already
off.
great.
Hopefully our teeth don't fall off. But whatever it takes, we'll be
Yeah.
rocking those chairs together. Thank you
Amen.
for staying awake to do this. And
Yes.
thank you to our viewers today for just being part of what God is doing with us.
Yes.
Today's conversation was slightly different, you can see, but it is still in the place where we talk about vulnerability. We talk
Mm,
about the place of faith. And then
yeah.
we look through what victory truly looks like. And today I had with me someone who's seen it all, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, and life still happened, and
Yes.
how she's had to navigate that life. Perhaps further down the line, we will come back again and Coach will have new things to share with us. Thank you so much. God bless you for keeping the faith. Coach Anna, I love you. I love you. I
Love
love
you
you.
too.
And I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye
All right.
bye. You're
Bye.
loved and appreciated. Bye bye.